Away. We tell you all about it, plus a couple of events going on this weekend you can enjoy right here on First Alert Weather Extra.
And we take a look back at April with how much rain we've received this month and what that could mean for the drought monitor.
Plus, we take a dive into the science side and talk about why certain insects are good for gardening.
WBRC Fox 6 News. First Alert Weather Extra starts now.
Well, speaking of insects, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but everything's out right now.
Yes.
With it being so warm, even the mosquitoes.
Yeah, that is true, and we've seen a few in the studio already.
Mosquitoes?
No, but we saw a roach a couple weeks ago. Remember that?
Oh.
Yeah, we weren't too pleased about that one, but it is that time of the year, right?
Yeah, it's that time of the year. But I was doing some yard work today, but I noticed that all the little critters are out. And if you are going to be enjoying some time outdoors over the next few days, we're starting to warm up. It's feeling more humid. So yeah, I do consider that. The mosquitoes coming out as well. Let's take a look at the rain chances here as we look at the forecast radar right now. Well, first off, live radar, and you can see that we've got some light showers in areas to the north around Coleman County and back into Winston County. This is actually reaching the ground. It's very light precipitation that you can see there around Double Springs over into places like Addison. Jasper shows maybe a couple sprinkles here. It's not heavy, very light stuff, but there is a little bit of rain showing up across our area. And this is sort of the lower end of an axis of rain that stretches way back into Arkansas. There's actually a lot of severe weather happening well north. Notice back to the west, there's not a lot going on. So this is mostly just clipping our northern counties. So for most of us, it's just a lot of clouds that we're dealing with. And actually for tomorrow, you can see that cloud cover forecast. It's showing a mostly cloudy to cloudy forecast again for Friday. So we will have some clouds, but not a lot of wet weather. So certainly plan on watering the garden. It's a yes on watering the next few days, watering the lawn. You can see into Tuesday, it's a maybe by Monday and Tuesday because we're going to see a better chance for some scattered showers and storms during the afternoon hours. So right now it's a chance for a shower to the north. We've got some warmer conditions coming up here and the chance for a possible thunderstorm during the afternoon and evening to start off next week. Those chances will be on the increase there by Monday and Tuesday and next week, but right now it's only around 10%, just warmer. And you may have noticed also I mentioned feeling a bit more humid as we go into the weekend. Well, as we check out those sunset times coming up on sunset, I know it's cloudy right now, but sunset today, 7:26. You can see as we move into May there, up to 7:41 for sunset time there around that May 16th. But if you capture some of those lovely sunset photos, you can share those with us on the First Alert Weather app. But we're going to be talking more about rain chances for next week and going beyond the 7-day forecast coming up.
And as far as rainfall goes, meteorologist Matt Daniel joins us now to talk about how much we've gotten over the past month and how it ties into this week's updated drought monitor.
Let's talk about how much rain we've seen so far this month and for the year. Of course, we've been tracking that drought monitor for several months. We were in a drought, and then, of course, over the past several months, the drought's been gone. And this is the latest drought monitor. Notice not a thing to worry about for now, but it wouldn't surprise me if we start seeing abnormally dry conditions starting to develop in parts of the state as we go into May, especially if we don't get a lot of measurable rainfall. Here's a look at the monthly average rainfall totals that we would typically see. And as you can see for April, we'll typically average about 5 inches of rain, and it's considered one of our wetter months of the year. So we could use some rainfall, and as you know, this past week, really haven't seen that much. So let's look at the totals so far for the month of April. In Birmingham, we've recorded almost 3 inches of rain, 2¼ in Tuscaloosa, and almost 2 inches in Anniston. But everybody's seeing only about half that amount. We could use another 2 to 3 inches to just to get back to average for the month. So let's talk about Birmingham, shall we? Let's go ahead and animate this for you. And as you can see, so far this year, we've recorded almost over 19 inches of rainfall, but on average, we should see about 19¾ So we actually have a little bit of a deficit here in Birmingham for the year of a little over a ½ of an inch of rainfall. So what about Tuscaloosa? Well, we've recorded over 21 inches of rainfall this year, and typically on average we'll record about 19¼ So we actually do have a surplus of rain in Tuscaloosa, almost 2 inches of rain. So that is some good news there for Tuscaloosa, but the farther east you go, it seems to be a little bit drier. In fact, check out Anniston. So far, we've recorded almost 18 inches of rain for the year. And on average, we should have almost 19. So we're almost about an inch with a deficit of rainfall across the Anniston area. So what about that rain? Over the next 5 to 7 days, this is the projections from the Weather Prediction Center for the next 7 days. And it looks like all the active weather is going to stay mainly to the west of us. So we could pick up maybe a tenth or two, especially for West Alabama going into early next week. But all the active weather remains across the central United States. So we're going to continue to watch the projections for rain, the drought monitor, because if we start getting warmer and warmer and we don't see much in the way of rainfall, it wouldn't surprise me if we start seeing those abnormally dry conditions across the state.
Well, the first tropical disturbance of the year is no longer being monitored by the National Hurricane Center. This comes after upper level winds sheared away thunderstorm activity today. The development was more than 1,000 miles off of the West African coast and produced wind gusts up to 35 miles per hour. But models aren't showing development of tropical cyclones through at least the first week of May. So seems a little unusual, right, to be seeing anything even in the way of possible tropical development outside of hurricane season, which runs from June 1st to November 30th. But it's happened before, and it could certainly happen this year. This is the little area that we were monitoring. And you look at that and you think, that's it? That's what y'all are monitoring? Well, that's why we're not monitoring it anymore, because it is so puny. But what can happen during the peak of hurricane season, which is in August and September, is you can watch these complexes coming off of the west coast of Africa. You can actually see some thunderstorm complexes developing there in Western Africa. And what will happen is they'll move off of the west coast and traverse across the Atlantic and eventually can become a tropical system. But here's the latest, most up-to-date forecast from Colorado State University. They have great tropical researchers there, and they are forecasting an above average system. On average, you get systems about 14 per year, but their April forecast that they made this April is looking at the possibility of 23 named systems. And so why is that cause for concern? Well, we're already seeing really warm waters in the Atlantic basin. You can see temperatures already well into the 80s in the Caribbean, some 80s through the Gulf, even into parts of the central Atlantic. And warm water is fuel for tropical systems. And one reason we do expect temperatures to be even warmer than average as we go into hurricane season is because La Nina. La Nina is when you have cooler than normal water off of the west coast of South America, and that can actually influence temperatures in the Atlantic basin and can have an impact on hurricane season. So those stronger trade winds that you see in the Pacific can actually cause less wind shear, which means more hurricane activity and warmer temperatures in the Atlantic basin. But we'll always follow the tropics here on Weather Extra.
We sure will. Thank you so much, Lauren. Around the world, Kenya is experiencing flash floods after several days of heavy rainfall. Roads in the Kenyan capital were closed yesterday as several neighborhoods remain submerged. More than 100,000 people have been affected and more than 40,000 have been displaced in 21 out of the 47 counties. Kenya has registered heavy rain since mid-March, but they appear to have intensified over the past week, leading to flooding in parts of the country. Rainfall was expected to continue today. And in Dubai, a new update from scientists researching the extreme flooding event. According to the World Weather Attribution Initiative, they found that climate change made the extreme rainfall event up to 40% more intense than they would have been without global warming. The United Arab Emirates saw rainfall as high as 10 inches in some areas in just 24 hours, the most rain they've seen in 75 years. But don't go anywhere. In 30 seconds, we take a quick check on radar and a look at where that current rainfall is at and take a quick science look in this week's Degree of Science. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back in, guys. First Alert Weather Extra. I'm meteorologist Tania Michelle. But let's take a quick look at that radar. We're still seeing some showers across north central Alabama, mainly north of Interstate 20. I don't think that wet weather is going to hit our far southern counties, so you should be good for this evening and likely staying dry. But if you're over in Coleman, Blunt, and areas further to the east where that rain is heading, you can expect a shower there. But right now, it's currently crossing or about to cross Interstate 65. There's already some light showers on that road. Just take your time if you're out and about this evening. Right now, most of that light rainfall is near Addison in Winston County and over towards Smith Lake, and then moving further down northern portions of Jefferson County. Temperatures right now, very nice, still warm, even for places that are seeing that wet weather. At most, at the coolest, I should say, 65 in Winston County, 68 though in Coleman. Low 80s further down south where there's a little less cloud coverage. 80 degrees there in Bibb and 75 in Clay. Here's a quick look at that evening forecast if you have plans to be out and about in Birmingham. But we have more to talk about. Lauren?
Yeah, that's right, Tania. You know, we were seeing those beautiful views outside on our sky cams tonight, and you're probably seeing a lot more bees and butterflies like Wes mentioned now that flowers are in bloom. But do you know how important these insects are? In this week's Degrees of Science, we talk with an entomologist about these pollinating insects and how you can help them in your own backyard.
Pollination is a part of the process by which flowering plants reproduce. So without insect pollinators and without pollination, we wouldn't have a diversity of plants in our environment. And then economically, we know that insect pollinators pollinate a diversity of crops. About 75% of crops around the world depend on animal pollinators, primarily insects. And this is enormously economically valuable. For example, there was a study in Georgia that estimated that insect pollinators are worth about $350 million per year.
Man, so is it mainly bees that we talk about, or are there other insects that are important in this process?
Right. Bees are really important pollinators. They do tend to be really highly effective, and that is because they actively collect pollen, and they have hairs on their bodies that help them collect that pollen. So they're really good at moving pollen around. Other insects kind of accidentally pick up pollen when they're visiting flowers. Butterflies also contribute to pollination. Flies contribute to pollination. Wasps contribute quite a bit. And then other insects like beetles even do some pollination. Really, any insect that visits a flower could pollinate by moving that pollen around.
So what do these pollinators need to help to be healthy, to build up their population?
Pollinators need three main things. They need food, which comes in the form of flowers that provide nectar and pollen. But some pollinators need additional food as well. For example, butterflies in the caterpillar stage, they feed on foliage. So they need host plants that provide that foliage. And then as adults, they feed on nectar from flowers. Additionally, they need nesting resources. Many pollinators nest below ground, so they need ground that is accessible and undisturbed. Other pollinators nest in woody debris or just on plants. And then finally, they need protection from toxins. And they need those food and those nesting resources to be in places where there isn't routine insecticide or pesticide use.
So if someone was interested in making a pollinator garden or getting their garden more adapted for that, what would people need to do to help out with that?
I would say plant flowers and look for native plants. Look to provide a diversity of flowers. Different pollinators like different flowers. Also have a diversity of shapes. Some pollinators need flat flowers or flowers without long, deep tubes. Others can access resources within those long, deep tubes. So aim for a diversity of flower colors, a diversity of flower shapes, and with an emphasis on native plants.
What a great story from our sister station out in Texas. Well, still ahead on First Alert Weather Extra, we talk about that upcoming warming trend, which, spoiler alert, already kind of feeling it right now, and take you beyond the 7-day with meteorologist Tania Michelle. We'll be right back.
Welcome back into First Alert Weather Extra. Right now, just a lot of clouds from most areas. A live look from Helena, where it's 78 degrees. First Alert Sky Vision, you can see that wind is out of the south, but at about 9 miles per hour, so a little bit of a breeze there. Here in Lamar County at Vernon, you can see more clouds moving in. Actually, we were getting more sunshine during the last check-in on that view I was seeing, but now the clouds thickening up again. Also around Birmingham, you can see where it's 77 degrees. Currently, the winds out of the northwest at 9 miles per hour. Feels like temperature around 77 at this time. Here at Anniston, a live look. That is from Blue Mountain, showing 77, wind west at 5 miles per hour. That feels like also in the mid 70s at this time. But the humidity still on the lower end. Not seeing much around T-Town. We're at 81 to the north, though. We've had these showers that have managed to just kind of sneak into our northern counties. I wouldn't expect much rain out of this. It's going to be very light, but now the radar showing some of these showers possibly reaching us around Warrior, north towards Good Hope, Dodge City, Coleman area. Might get a light sprinkle here as this continues tracking on in towards Blount County and areas back to the east. But the heavier stuff, the more active weather is happening well west of us. And I want to back the view out just so you can see across the middle part of the country where there's more of an enhanced risk for severe weather tomorrow. That does slide east, but it stays still well west of us. You can see it's even west of the Mississippi River for the most part, seeing that enhanced risk lifting in towards places like Omaha, but the enhanced risk does increase again from North Texas back in towards Kansas there for Saturday. So looking at the severe weather threat, the way it's setting up later this week and into the weekend, this is an area that does become more active later into the spring and into the early summer. So it looks like we're already starting to see that shift happening back to the west. No severe weather for us at this time and not a lot of rainfall. As you can see through tonight, the radar data, the forecast model is doing a good job picking up on those light showers to the north, but by 10 o'clock it shows the forecast radar shows all that lifting out of here. Maybe some breaks in the clouds as well. A mild night with overnight lows around 60. Let's stop it right here, 6 a.m. tomorrow. What an improvement from earlier this week. That chill, it's bye-bye. It's out of here. We've got the mild weather, afternoon highs around 84, Tuscaloosa, Birmingham. We get into our Saturday. You can see during the morning another mild start, mainly dry. Saturday afternoon, 80s. Again, looks like another warm afternoon, but just not a lot of wet weather over the next few days. Scattered thunderstorms coming back for late Monday and into Tuesday and next week. And it looks like we will see those afternoon showers and storms. And as we check out our First Alert weather calendar with meteorologist Michelle Tania, I was looking at next Thursday, and it seemed like we might actually see a front and perhaps an increased coverage of rain. So it's the coverage mainly that we're talking about looks to increase some next week.
Yeah, it does, Wes. And we're going to populate this First Alert weather calendar here on the screen. If I can get it to load. There we go. We've got those clouds around for us throughout the start of this weekend, but like Wes was mentioning, it looks like next week is a little more unsettled. As far as it being a washout any day, that's still up in the air, but there is a chance to see a shower or a storm at some point throughout next week. Monday through Friday, as we bring in the month of May, we're highlighted those days in red just for that chance of rain and even a possible storm in the area. By the end of next week, and as we approach the weekend, we look to dry up just in time May 4th and May 5th, and staying dry for the first full week of May until about May 9th. That's a Thursday of the following, after next week, the following week. That's May 9th, where we can see a few more scattered showers and possible storms in the forecast. Looking beyond the 7-day at that 8 to 14-day temperature outlook, May 3rd through the 9th, most of the United States is going to be seeing above average temperatures. Some of you are ready for this. I'm not. The west portion of the United States, like the West Coast, California, all the way up to portions of Washington and Oregon, could see more below average temperatures. But us here at home, we're included in those above average temperatures. So we could see temperatures far above the upper 70s and overnight lows possibly warmer than those mid 50s. And that's where we're at right now. That's usually our average, okay? But looking at that 8 to 14-day rainfall outlook, May 3rd through the 9th across the United States, a good mix of above average rainfall to below average. Us here at home, we're looking at more near average, minus the Gulf of Alabama. We could see some more below average rainfall. But today was a busy day, a busy morning at the McWane Science Center. And every year Elementary school teachers have the opportunity to join the McWane Science Center's Celebrate Science program. They get to celebrate and collaborate with their students to craft science exhibits, and after submitting, they await the year-end award ceremony. I had the pleasure of presenting their awards. Take a look. I'm here at the McWane Science Center. A lot of the students have already been arriving. We're gonna head inside and check out their exhibit. Let's go inside. The kids are having a great time. I mean, you can just hear all the cheers and the laughs and the smiles. You can hear the smiles. Like, that's how excited they are. But we're heading upstairs to actually go take a look at their projects. So let's go upstairs. What floor again? 3? I guess we'll find out. It's time to exit the McWane Science Center. I had such a great time. They gave me a token. Let's put this. Reach!
Thank you. Please drive ahead.
Well, I'm looking forward to heading to Brookwood Elementary tomorrow for a visit.
That'll be fun.
That will be fun.
There'll be some nice weather out there tomorrow. Only low rain chances. We'll update you tonight at 9 and 10.